When you think of a supervillain, you just assume they do everything they possibly can in order to try and make their evil plans come to fruition. But sometimes, super powerful comic book supervillains are just so incredibly powerful that they need to restrain themselves for their plans to succeed, or even so they don't accidentally destroy the universe they are trying to conquer. I'm Andrew Boyd, and today we are talking about the top 10 villains who hold back their power. This list was actually written by our other host, Adam Andrews, but he didn't have time to film it before leaving on holiday. So, I'll be reading his list and possibly making a few of my own comments as we go. Number 10. The Joker. The Joker. How the heck does the Joker hold back? He normally doesn't really. There are plenty of occasions where the Joker lets loose and does whatever he wants, taking lives indiscriminately, but that just makes it all the more incredibly villainous when instead, he restrains his insane sadistic impulses in order to carry out a completely bonkers plan. There are plenty of instances where instead of straight up taking someone's life, the Joker will toy with them, or leave them on their last legs, or completely break down their character, usually for the purpose of manipulating the individual themselves, their close family members, or more often than not, to torment the Batman himself directly. When he completely messed up Barbara Gordon for the purpose of trying to break Commissioner Gordon, or in Death of the Family, when he made the entire Bat family believe that he had sliced off their faces when he actually hadn't. Even the whole thing with Jason Todd. He didn't just take down the Robin, he left him on the brink of the afterlife and rigged an explosion just so Batman could almost save him. Yeah, I mean, so far so good, Adam. Hard to say if this is restraint or if it's just his version of comedic timing, but we're off to a good start. Number 9. Mr. Mxyzptlk. Mr. Mxyzptlk here is probably the best example of someone who is technically a villain and who has no choice but to hold back. If you want to see just how powerful this fifth dimensional imp actually is, all you have to do is read the Emperor Joker story, where his powers are granted to someone who totally shouldn't have them, the Joker. Using this power, Joker eventually causes the end of everything. But Mr. Mxyzptlk? He mainly just uses his abilities to be a pain in the butt and prove that he is smarter than Superman, his favorite superhero. I mean, there's a large case to be made that Mr. Mxyzptlk isn't even a villain at all. The point here is that this imp has the power to completely destroy everything we hold dear, but he knows that, and he has to keep his power in check to make sure that that doesn't happen. He's a villain, but that doesn't mean he isn't responsible. A great choice. What Adam doesn't mention is that Mr. Mxyzptlk is so overpowered that he actually has given himself a weakness to make things more interesting. That being that he will return to his own dimension if you can trick him into saying his name backwards. Kiltipsixum. Number 8. Impossible Man. First appearing in Fantastic Four number 11 all the way back in 1962, Impossible Man is an alien from the planet Papa. The planet Papa is an extremely dangerous place, so its inhabitants evolved to be able to transform into anything their imagination could create. The Fantastic Four first came into contact with the Impossible Man when he went to Earth for a vacation and decided to annoy Marvel's first family. Like Mxyzptlk, he's less concerned with causing harm than he is with having fun at the expense of the heroes, which is good because his transforming abilities have let him go up against several heavy hitters in the Marvel universe, once knocking the Thing through a wall by transforming his arm into Thor's hammer, and another time getting punched in the face by the Hulk without getting hurt. In one of the most extreme instances of his power, he transformed his entire planet into a duplicate of Earth and tricked Galactus into eating it, causing the Planet Eater to develop a terminal case of indigestion. With power levels like that, it is a good thing he doesn't really go in for planet conquering, because he would be a tough villain to deal with. Not sure if I'd rank him above Mxyzptlk, but they do seem to have a similar deal going on. Number 7. Molecule Man. Owen Reese was an ordinary lab technician who was repairing an atomic device and was caught in an accident that granted him incredible powers. This was actually a part of a plan by the Beyonders to end the universe, but for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna stick with the basics. He was granted the ability to control matter and energy, but due to a lack of confidence, was unaware of the true extent of his power. He originally thought that he had to be using a metal wand to manipulate matter, and also was under the impression that he could only control inorganic matter, but both were actually untrue. He was actually so powerful that the Watcher captured him, believing that he was too dangerous and could potentially destroy the universe. He eventually came back to Earth by reconstructing his body, and for a time was one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe once Doctor Doom helped him realize his true potential. He went toe-to-toe with the Beyonder and helped save the universe in Secret Wars 2. He became less outright villainous as the years went on, with him struggling to overcome madness and be a better person, but at the height of his villainy, it's a good thing that he was unconsciously holding himself back, as he was capable of ending universes with a thought if he wanted to. I wasn't very familiar with Molecule Man, but if all this this is true, he feels a bit low on this list. Number 6, Loki. Loki is a god. As such, they have an Asgardian frost giant physiology, which makes them much more powerful than other beings. Loki's also incredibly adept with sorcery, being able to use it to do a whole wide array of different things and grant himself a whole whack of powers. He became the Sorcerer Supreme at one point. Whether it was by his own skill or a trick doesn't matter, he still did it. He's taken on the OG Avengers when they first formed and is just an incredibly powerful guy. But kind of like the Joker, Loki's a planner. His whole thing is tricking people and laying long convoluted plans to give pretty much everyone a bad time. Which means instead of just totally destroying people, which he could do, he toys with people, leads them on, pretends to be their friend, and adds just a whole bunch of not so necessary extra steps into his plans, all for his own entertainment. On a personal note, I recently read the X-Men Alpha Flight crossover from 1985, where Loki grants the humans and the mutants the power to make the world a utopia. He takes away this power and attacks them when the heroes refuse it, but it does prove that Loki could fix all of Earth's problems by himself if he wanted to. He just chooses not to. Number 5, Thanos. This one is pretty simple. Thanos on his own is incredibly powerful, able to be a threat for the Avengers any day of the week. But during his most famous story, where he assembles the Infinity Gems into the Infinity Gauntlet to grant himself the power to do essentially anything, his main goal was to destroy half the life in the universe to impress his girlfriend, Death. He could have done almost anything, and instead of really fully committing, he chose to only bring down half the universe. Half? No man, if you wanted to impress that girl, you gotta give 100%. Thanos did a half measure. What kind of villain does that? Lame. Moving on. So the reason Thanos didn't wipe out all life is because if he did, Death would have become redundant and have no purpose. But Adam is absolutely right. Thanos held back a lot by not killing every living being in the universe. Number 4, Doctor Doom. I don't know if I'd say Doctor Doom holds back his power. I think a better explanation would be that he chooses his time to strike. And personally, or rather Adam, thinks that this is because he just wants to use the least amount of effort possible when he engages in battle. Now, this is obviously not always true. We've seen Doom completely obliterate his opponents on multiple occasions, and he has become the most powerful person in the universe on multiple occasions, using that massive power to do whatever the heck he wants. But let's think about all the times that Doom doesn't actually have to use his power. How many times have we seen Doom just sit on his throne without having to do anything because people know better than to cross him? So many times. His power speaks for itself, and so he doesn't really have to use all of it. Simple as that. But okay, let's think of an example. When his master, the Marquis of Death, came and judged him, Doom got sent all the way back to be swallowed by a megalodon. He had his heart turned to stone and his blood into acid, and not only did he survive, he managed to make his way back to the Marquis of Death, and instead of just taking him out immediately, Doom disguised himself and pretended to be the Marquis' apprentice, just waiting for the moment when he could waltz up and completely slap the guy. Which he did after the Fantastic Four had brought the Marquis down a few levels. I mean, I can't argue that. Plus, think of all the times he delegated with his Doom bots. Number 3, Apocalypse. Some of you may not know just how powerful Apocalypse is. His mutant abilities are immortality and control over his molecular structure, which is pretty powerful. But then he was given a power buff when he interacted with a celestial spaceship and gained celestial armor and 2 different techno-organic viruses that turned into a benefit for himself. Now he can essentially grant himself any power that he wants. Superhuman strength, teleportation, telekinesis, flight, telepathy. He can produce force fields, energy blasts, absorb energy, and even grant power boosts and totally new powers to others. And that is part of the key point here. Apocalypse is famous for his horsemen, who he grants massive power boosts to be his henchmen, but also to enact his true purpose. See, the name of the game with Apocalypse is survival of the fittest and the evolution of the mutant species. So, while he could completely obliterate the X-Men with his crazy level of power, like he did one time in the animated show, he prefers to send out his horsemen as a test against the X-Men to make sure they are truly powerful enough to carry on. But he's chilled out a bit on that front more recently. Number 2, Battle Beast. Now, some people may come for me, meaning Adam, here saying that Battle Beast is a hero. Some would agree that he is a villain. I'd say, or rather Adam would say, that Battle Beast fights for his own reasons on both sides, as long as it serves his goal. And what is that goal? Literally to pass on to the afterlife in a glorious honor-filled battle. He lives to find his equal and better in combat, so that they can bring the end of his life in an honorable battle. Honor is the key part here. During his fight against Thrag, the unfathomably strong leader of the Voltrumites, he recognizes Thrag's Thrag's strength and the two go at it. Now, the coalition of the world organized the use of the Ragnars, which are one of the only species of aliens who have proven strong enough to take down the Viltrumites. Battlebeast was told they would be released only if he failed to take down Thrag. So when they were released at the start of the fight and gave Thrag a massive wound, he was actually incredibly ticked off and decided to stop fighting Thrag and instead help him defeat the Ragnars so that they could have a fair fight. Which Thrag even remarks was stupid, but not only did he take away his own advantage, but he even injured himself in the same way Thrag had been injured, just so that he wouldn't have any unfair advantage. It's Sigma as hell, but incredibly foolish. Number 1. The Collector. Tanlier Tavon is an elder of the universe. He existed in the previous universe, and when it came to an end, he was the only one of his race chosen by the cosmic entity Death to be given immortality and survive in the new cosmos. As an elder of the universe, he is almost completely unkillable unless all his molecules are completely eradicated. While he looks like an old man, he has a second form where he gains powerhouse super strength, invulnerability, and cosmic energy manipulation for defense, offensive, and matter manipulation uses. But despite all that power, he time and time again does not use the full force of his power to trap and collect at least one of everything in the universe, including sentient beings. A lot of the time, he doesn't even go off to do these things himself, which he totally could. Instead, he'd rather let others do it. And I mean, when you have literally all the time in the universe at your disposal because you can't be stopped, then yeah, why do anything yourself? No need for urgency. I guess when you consider that the Collector could obliterate most people and only chooses not to so that he can collect them, he's a pretty good choice for the top spot. Wow, Adam, great list. Any other villains who are holding back when they go up against the heroes? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more Top 10 Nerd.